Okay, so this morning we're going to be talking about the life of service. But before I start, let me just, how many of us here are servants of God? Okay, how many of us here are slave to Christ? Slave. S-L-A-V-E. Slave to or slave of, whichever you choose. How many of us? I won't have a lot of hands. Okay, so how many of us are called into the ministry or you have a ministry? Okay, so not everybody is raising their hands, right? Okay. So the time is short, but I'll just run through because treating the topic service in church is quite wide. So I'll just run through some things. I asked how many of us are slaves to Christ or of Christ, and then how many of us are called into the ministry or have a ministry. Not everybody's hands, was up. And the simple reason is because most of us see ministry as being on the pulpit. Yes, so if I'm not called the woman of God, I don't have a ministry yet. I must be here to be doing ministry or fulfilling my ministry, right? But ministry is all about service. So when you say you are called into the ministry, what you're simply saying is, I'm serving where the Lord wants me to. Simply put, right? I have a ministry. All of us have a ministry. It's not until you become a pastor, an apostle, an evangelist, a prophet. No, all of us have a ministry, and which we must discover. Now, in the English dictionary, when you look at it here, it says an action of helping or doing work for someone. In other words, you may be volunteering or being paid for it. But that's not the definition we have in the Bible, even though the Bible didn't talk about service directly, right? But use the word ministry. Is the same thing as service. And that word is gotten from the word, from the Greek word diakono, to serve, or deleu, to serve as a slave. That's why a lot of us didn't raise up our hands when we use the word slave. One time the Bible says that we're no longer slave to sin, right? But when you read Romans 6:22, it talks about we being slave to God right now. The same thing, 1 Corinthians 7:22 says the same thing. So when I mention the word slave, everybody feel, slave, okay. But that's what we've been called into. And when you're called to serve as a servant or a slave, it therefore means you must have a master. Jesus is our master, our overall master. But at the same time, Jesus will not come to the earth the second time for us to be rabbi before God. So the way God has positioned it or has given it to us is for us to serve people. And the essence of our ministry really is serving people. Whether they are leaders or our neighbors or serving one another in church. Your ministry must be affecting somebody's life if truly you are called into the ministry. So you must discover what your ministry is. You must discover also whom you are called to serve. So when we're talking about ministry, we're just saying, what is it that God has put inside you that can be a blessing to somebody else? So that's ministry. Something that is impacting somebody else's life. And the ultimate at the end of the day is making sure that they are converted to Christ. Because the Bible says all of us have have the ministry of reconciliation. And then I mentioned to us, I said, if you call yourself a servant or a slave, you have a master. In other words, you must be serving somebody. Somebody gives order, and you must give feedback. You must report back. That person will have to send you on errands. So when I'm talking about ministry today, I'm not talking about fivefold ministry, and I'm not going actually to the gifts of the Spirit. Which sometimes some of us, when we speak in tongues, and fire comes down. Yes, we are doing ministry. So we're not talking about those today. The life of service starts with mundane things. If you're able to handle it. Because when Jesus, I'm going ahead of myself, I just keep talking. When Jesus called his disciples, Bible said the reason why he called them is that they could be with him. That for me, this is how I interpret it. Be with him so that Jesus could mentor them and make his disciple become like him. Do everything else that Jesus will do if he was on earth. And then secondly, my own interpretation, Jesus also needed people who will help him with mundane things so that he could focus on the purpose of God for his life. And that's why we have examples. Sorry, can we go to the next slide? Yes. So, Jesus kept teaching his disciples about things of the kingdom. Then ministry started. Teaching them also to do other things that pertains to life. Because somebody say, if I'm called into the ministry, why wouldn't I be given the microphone to speak? Where will I be asked to sweep? Where will I be asked to arrange chairs? Where will I be asked to wash toilets? Why must I mop in church? If you're actually a servant. I remember one time we were going to have a meeting. And Pastor told me, that was like, yeah, Pastor Dotun at that time. And I said, we're going to have a meeting and we need more chairs in your office. Though it was a small office, I said, okay, let me ask some people to help me with, some chairs from the auditorium and all of that. I got there and I picked one. And I saw a brother come and I said, bros, thank God you are here. Please help me with one chair. I need to take you to P. Dot. You know what the person told me? He just did like this. I'm not into all those kind of things. I was shocked. And another brother was coming behind. He wasn't even the person that I asked. The person just carried 2 chairs and he went with me. That's somebody who understands service, right? So Jesus, to focus on his ministry, had to also ask his disciples to go on errands. So those are some of the things we will see in ministry and where ministry actually starts from. Because if you say to yourself that I'm called to serve Reverend Victor or Pastor Jumoke, and all you want to do is carry suit, carry Bible, be on the stage when they are ministering, and then you can't clean shoes. You can't polish their shoe. You can't iron. You are not called to serve them, sir, ma. You must humble yourself to that level. That's where ministry actually starts. That's where ministry starts. I'm not ashamed to drive Mama wherever she wants to go. Sometimes I drive Rev. It's not because I started doing it because I came to Global Harvest. No, I've been doing it for over 10 years. And I know what that has taught me. And I know the graces that I've received. Because when you want the transference of the anointing, it starts with such things. People made jest of, is it Elisha and Elijah now? Yes. When they were looking for a prophet, the king said, go and say, there's a prophet. There's one guy like that who follows Elisha around. He pours water on his hands. Another, he said, boy, lone show. Come and tell you, kakiri. But at the end of the day, who got the double portion of the anointing? Bible said there were other prophets, they are sons of the prophets. He said, boy, lone show. And some of us are ashamed to serve because people will say the same about us. Where me I'm coming from, before I came to Lagos in my church, those of us who are around the senior pastors and do other things that have, in my church we have two, when you say protocol, we have protocol to senior pastors and then we have protocol to guests. So when we're making jest of us, I say, bros, I better come. When you say, na executive boy walk, now we they do. So we use that to yab ourselves. I don't care as a woman. I clean the car for my pastor to enter. It doesn't take anything out of you. It doesn't reduce you. But that's where ministry starts if you really want to serve. Come on, in Global Harvest Church where we are right now, I sweep and I mop, I carry chairs, I clean stores. When people come, they look at me. Somebody told me some months ago, said, I even forget that you are a pastor in this church. She told me to my face, it's not as if it's one, but it doesn't matter to me. Because I still do boy work in church. I was telling our staff last week, I said, if you work here in the office, you must be ready to do boy work. And I said there was a time that we were only 3. Mama can testify. I say, ask the accountant, Mr. Adebayo or Mr. Lotto, that when we have work to do, we need to clear the store. And you must have seen us 1 or 2. I said, we come ready with clothes to change from home. We go and clear the store because there's nobody else to do it. And after we've done, we wear our suit correct like this and show up in the office, and then we attend to people and do our work for the day. That's ministry. And then we call you, come and help us in church. You're looking. 2020, when we're going to resume, I think after the lockdown, we're going to resume. Mama went home like 2:30 a.m. in the morning and came back by 5. She lives on the island, I on the mainland. In fact, I almost slept off. It was my mama said, Auntie, let us be going. So I got to church like, I think 6. The other pastors also got to church 5:36. And we had to clean up because we did a lot of renovation in church and the church was not set. And some people came, I'm in the choir. So they just stood like this and waiting at the back. Excuse me? I'm in the prayer band. We're waiting for time for us to pray. And the church wasn't set. And Global Harvest pastors came. And they asked, Mama B, what is left? I said, we're cleaners and we're still waiting for sanctuary keeper. Pastor Lawrence and Pastor Emmanuel told me, sanctuary what? Where do they keep the brooms? I said, that's their cubicles. They went there, carried the broom. Pastor Lawrence folded his trouser and everybody started cleaning. And members came who stood, who were waiting for their time for ministration. It's not about the pulpit, sir and ma. The only way up is down. We start from here. So Jesus taught his disciples. He sent them on errands like some of us don't want to be sent on, because your HOM will send you or your team head will send you and like, kilo de gun. And some of us, and that's one of the reasons, because we can't serve with humility, is one of the reasons why we get offended most times in church. Your HOM, your team head, might actually not be your age mate. When I mean age mate, I was saying you guys are not mates. The person is younger than you. I have served 4 times under pastors who are younger than me and HOM. So if I'll count them, they'll be about 8 or 10. I'm 10 years. I was 10 years older, or I'm 10 years older than they are. And it's sir, we worked together and everything was good. So that's where ministry starts from. It's all about the heart. All about the heart. Because God sees our heart. And God will test you. Because you're waiting for God to give you a crusade of 10,000 people. But in church, where you have 20, 30, 40, and 100, nobody can talk to you there. And those are your times. Those are the times when God is testing you to see how far you will go. If you cannot submit to somebody now, it's not when you are carrying the microphone, because God knows that you will mess up big time. So he won't take you there yet. He will wait for you to finish doing the mundane things. So Jesus sent his disciples and told them, he said, go and feed the 5,000. Look for food for them. Share. Make sure that everybody gets, and then gather the crumbs. Accountability, right? And then give them responsibility as well. Then he told them again, go and get that colt. Go and get that donkey. If anybody asks of you, tell them that the master needs it. Jesus didn't have to go with them. They had to manage their purse, manage money. Jesus had an accountant, had treasurer, and that was Judas. So Jesus had to send them on errands. So if you read Luke, and you read the book of Mark 10, 35 to 45, it's here, where they were saying to themselves, who is the greatest? Jesus said, these people don't know what they are asking for. Are you ready to drink of the cup? He said, whoever must be the greatest among you must do what? Must be the servant. He said, because even he himself as the master, what did he say about himself? He said, the Son of Man, or the Son of God, yes, did not come, yes, to be served, but to serve. So service starts with all these little things. But let me be sincere with us. Service is not easy. It is hard. Especially when we have to, serve men like us. Because everybody have their background. You really don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what they've gone through. I've worked under somebody before that when you make mistake and she's upset with you, the next thing that is, Igbuwa. But now me tell myself, say, God, say, make I come serve. So where they go? So I have to stay. In fact, my husband saw it one day. She said, And you stood, you were looking. So I asked we're not married then. I said, bros, do I have to carry cane? I don't have to carry cane. Now God said, make I did here, so make I did here. Do you understand? It's not easy to serve. I must tell us. Because some of us are afraid of offense. Some of us are feeling we can be trampled upon. And it will happen. Sincerely, it will happen. It will happen. But let me say something to us. The way some of us think about it. Humility is not losing your self-esteem. Humility. You can serve with dignity, ma. So serving does not reduce you to anything. Rather, it brings the best out of you and makes you fulfill purpose. I've worked, in those days when you work and people are like, one smallish pastor that was working on that one time said, Sister Bukky, come here. You did so and so and so and so. And then told the security man that put on the gem for next time you do that, we'll sack you or not even pay your salary. As the man was talking, was working, flesh. When you are able, service is just doing the things that you naturally will not, that is against your natural inclination, right? And then service is also killing flesh. Because you must put flesh under. As the pastor was talking to me, I was smiling. Because what was inside me? In my heart, God is here. I said, if I raise this guy, now fall Yakata. I'm telling you, that was what I thought. I said, I was looking, when I was laughing. I was just like, if I raise the Baba, Yakata. That's what I was saying to myself. It's difficult to serve. I won't say it's easy. No, it's difficult to serve. But because we are called, there's grace released. All I'm just here to tell us this evening is this, or this morning. Service pays. And as you serve the Lord, the truth is you can't serve without humility, selflessness. And then above all, make sure that you are doing it with joy and gladness in your heart. Joy and gladness. Joy and gladness. Lastly, I will say to us, when you serve, do not be weary in doing good, because your payday will surely come. Your payday will surely come. And I'm speaking to some people who are discouraged. Your discouragement didn't come from outside. It came from the church, from within. But God said to tell you that your payday will surely come. He does not forget. He does not forget. He will repay you. He is the one who rewards. He is the one who lifts up. He is the one who sees what others do not see. Please let me say to your neighbor, your payday will come. Your payday will come. And it is so in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you.